You have the right to remain silent. Do words such as those always retain their power? I may be white, but I refuse to be blinded by the myth that we live in a post-racial society. Given the countless examples of racial tension present constantly in national media, the contemporary moment is clearly not colorblind. Maybe that is an example of what Dr. King referred to as the tranquilizing drug of gradualism back in August 1963. You have the right to remain silent. What authority figure's face is truly behind the racial turmoil of our present? We have the tendency to be insatiable when it comes to pointing the finger at anyone but ourselves. We must pay attention to see the truth at our national core, to unmask the ugly face beneath the residue of racism, to reveal what is concealed, to continue dramatizing this shameful condition. It is still racism. Many would point to the Confederate flag as ground zero, but there continues to be neither rest nor tranquility in the South or elsewhere, as we can see from 2014 and 2015 alone. Emerson Clayton, Jr., Alexander City, Alabama. Ricky D'Angelo Hinkle, Birmingham, Alabama. Stephen Tucson, Birmingham, Alabama. Zamio Crawford, McAlla, Alabama. Adam Ardette Madison, Warrior, Alabama. Romaine Brisbane, Phoenix, Arizona. Willie Harden, Phoenix, Arizona. Valentin Mbegbu, Phoenix, Arizona. Robert Storey, Little Rock, Arkansas. Michael Lorray Dozer, Bakersfield, California. Nathaniel Pickett, Barstow, California. Jason Moland, Ceres, California. Rayshawn Cole, Chula Vista, California. Antoine Dominique Hunter, Compton, California. Izelle Ford, Florence, California. Roy Nelson, Hayward, California. Tommy Yancey, Imperial, California. Paul Ray Kemp, Jr., Inglewood, California. Brandon Glenn, Los Angeles, California. Charlie Africa Lundu Kunong, Los Angeles, California. Brian Pickett, Los Angeles, California. Jacori Calhoun, Oakland, California. Richard Perkins, Oakland, California. Leroy Browning, Palmdale, California. Alvin Haynes, San Bruno, California. Anthony Ashford, San Diego, California. Lamontez Jones, San Diego, California. Andre Milton, San Leandro, California. Chris Jackson, South Lake Tahoe, California. Dante Parker, Victorville, California. Nescalis Vincent, Aurora, Colorado. Michael Lee Marshall, Denver, Colorado. Lashano Gilbert, New London, Connecticut. Amir Brooks, Washington, District of Columbia. Alonzo Smith, Washington, District of Columbia. Even Said, Big Cypress, Florida. Corey Levert Tanner, Bunnell, Florida. Calvon Reed, Coconut Creek, Florida. Anesson Joseph, Delray Beach, Florida. Marcus Clark, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Caldrick Donald, Gretna, Florida. Howard Wallace Bowe, Jr., Hollandale, Florida. Treon Johnson, Hialeah, Florida. Victo La Rosa III, Jacksonville, Florida. David Andre Scott, Jacksonville, Florida. D'Angelo Stallworth, Jacksonville, Florida. Brian DeMarcus West, Lakeland, Florida. Willie Sams, Liberty City, Florida. Cedric Stanley, Miami, Florida. Junior Prosper, North Miami, Florida. Latondra Ellington, Ocala, Florida. Cornelius Brown, Opelika, Florida. Albert Davis, Orlando, Florida. Salvado Ellswood, Plantation, Florida. Matthew Walker, Punta Gorda, Florida. Jeremy Lett, Tallahassee, Florida. Jermaine Benjamin, Vero Beach, Florida. Anthony Bartley, Yulee, Florida. Jerry Brown, Zephyr Hills, Florida. Bernard Moore, Atlanta, Georgia. Nicholas Thomas, Atlanta, Georgia. Quentin Bird, Barnesville, Georgia. Justin Sullivan, Barnesville, Georgia. Anthony Hill, Chamblee, Georgia. Zacharias Flint, Columbus, Georgia. Troy Robinson, Decatur, Georgia. Gregory Lewis Towns, Jr., East Point, Georgia. Vernicia Woodard, Hapeville, Georgia. Ascari Roberts, Rome, Georgia. Matthew Ajabade, Savannah, Georgia. Charles Smith, Savannah, Georgia. George Mann, Stonewall, Georgia. Brian Overstreet, Sylvester, Georgia. Wally Flex, Chicago, Illinois. Dominique Franklin, Jr., Chicago, Illinois. Stephen Isby, Chicago, Illinois. Betty Jones, Chicago, Illinois. Tiara Thomas, Portage, Indiana. Wendell Hall, Kansas City, Kansas. Kevin Bejoy, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Robert Baltimore, Homer, Louisiana. Cameron Tillman, Houma, Louisiana. Victor White III, Iberia, Louisiana. Eldrin Smart, Kenner, Louisiana. Jerome Dexter Christmas, Shreveport, Louisiana. Freddie Gray, Baltimore, Maryland. George King, Baltimore, Maryland. Tyree Woodson, Baltimore, Maryland. Darrell Brown, Hagerstown, Maryland. Jameel Harrison, Owings Mills, Maryland. Spencer McCain, Owings Mills, Maryland. Arvell Douglas Williams, Perry Hall, Maryland. Keith McLeod, Reisterstown, Maryland. Dawan Graham, Silver Spring, Maryland. Ashams Manley, Spaldings, Maryland. Mark Anthony Blocker, Suitland, Maryland. Michael Ricardo Minor, Suitland, Maryland. Samuel Shields, Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Briate McDuffie, White Marsh, Maryland. DeAndre Dorsey, White Plains, Maryland. Bryant Paula, Methuen, Massachusetts. Kevin Matthews, Dearborn, Michigan. Jacqueline Nichols, Flint, Michigan. D'Angelo Woods, Hazel Park, Michigan. Wayne Wheeler, Lathrop, Michigan. Jamar Clark, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Reginald Moore, Greenville, Mississippi. Justin Griffin, Jackson, Mississippi. Emmanuel Jean-Baptiste, Moss Point, Mississippi. Tyrone Davis, Natchez, Mississippi. Jonathan Sanders, Stonewall, Mississippi. Michael Brown, Jr., Ferguson, Missouri. Craig McInnes, Kansas City, Missouri. Chandra Weaver, Kansas City, Missouri. Eugene Williams, Kansas City, Missouri. Christopher Jones, Pine Lawn, Missouri. Thomas Allen, Jr., Wellston, Missouri. Andre Larone Murphy, Sr., Norfolk, Nebraska. Cortez Washington, Omaha, Nebraska. Dondre Berghardt, Jr., Las Vegas, Nevada. Keith Childress, Las Vegas, Nevada. Brian Day, Las Vegas, Nevada. John Wilson, Las Vegas, Nevada. Jerame Reed, Bridgeton, New Jersey. Lavon King, Jersey City, New Jersey. Tyree Crawford, Newark, New Jersey. David Yearby, North Brunswick, New Jersey. Jason Champion, Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. Nuna LaRoche, Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. Philip White, Vineland, New Jersey. Donald Dante Ivy, Albany, New York. Denzel Brown, Bayshore, New York. Samuel Harrell, Beacon, New York. David Felix, New York, New York. Eric Garner, New York, New York. Akai Gurley, New York, New York. Felix Kumi, New York, New York. Ronald Singleton, New York, New York. Jeffrey Ragland, Queens Village, New York. Richard Gregory Davis, Rochester, New York. Miguel Espinal, Yonkers, New York. Christopher McRae, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Florence White, Greensboro, North Carolina. Sandy James McCall, Rayford, North Carolina. LaShonda Ruth Belk, West End, North Carolina. Gregory Daquan Harris, West End, North Carolina. Montez Dwayne Hambrick, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. James Carney III, Cincinnati, Ohio. Samuel Dubose, Cincinnati, Ohio. Tanisha Anderson, Cleveland, Ohio. Brandon Jones, Cleveland, Ohio. Tamir Rice, Cleveland, Ohio. John Crawford III, Dayton, Ohio. Christopher Kimball, East Cleveland, Ohio. Terrence Moxley, Mansfield, Ohio. Rondre Lamar Hornbeak, Ardmore, Oklahoma. Darrell Gatewood, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Eric Harris, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Jeremy Lake, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Terry Price, Tulsa, Oklahoma. DeAndre Lloyd Starks, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Kevin Judson, McMinnville, Oregon. Leslie Sapp, Knoxville, Pennsylvania. LeVar Jones, Columbia, South Carolina. Alan Craig Williams, Greenville, South Carolina. Ernest Satterwhite, North Augusta, South Carolina. Walter Scott, North Charleston, South Carolina. Brian Acton, Columbia, Tennessee. Eddie Ray Epperson, Humboldt, Tennessee. Kiara Crowder, Memphis, Tennessee. Darius Stewart, Memphis, Tennessee. Christian Taylor, Arlington, Texas. Yvette Smith, Bastrop, Texas. Oliver Jared Gregoire, Baytown, Texas. Charles Goodridge, Cypress, Texas. Ross Anthony, Dallas, Texas. Jason Harrison, Dallas, Texas. Juan May, Duncanville, Texas. Jordan Baker, Houston, Texas. Terry Lee Chapman, Houston, Texas. Billy Ray Davis, Houston, Texas. Hallis Kinsey, Houston, Texas. Kenneth Christopher Lucas, Houston, Texas. Frank Shepard III, Houston, Texas. Eric Ricks, Mesquite, Texas. Dustin Keith Glover, Port Arthur, Texas. Norman Cooper, San Antonio, Texas. Lavon Leroy Love, San Antonio, Texas. Tiano Metan, Sierra Blanca, Texas. Dennis Grigsby, Texarkana, Texas. Michael Sabi, Texarkana, Texas. Iretha Lilly, Waco, Texas. Sandra Bland, Waller County, Texas. Darian Nathaniel Hunt, Sarasota Springs, Utah. David Mendoza, Bedford, Virginia. Dominic Wise, Culpeper, Virginia. Natasha McKenna, Fairfax, Virginia. William Chapman, Portsmouth, Virginia. Patterson Brown, Richmond, Virginia. India Cager, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Lorenzo Hayes, Spokane, Washington. Tony Robinson, Madison, Wisconsin. Dontre Hamilton, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You have the right to remain silent. If injustice is withering, why do so many continue to sear in its flames? The chains of discrimination and racism in America continue to be perpetuated, fortified, exacerbated by the prison industrial complex and other structural apparatuses continued from the slave plantation, by prioritization of militant nationalism over equality and unity among human beings and between humanity and the planet, by sexism, homophobia, and transphobia further disempowering any possible unity of the colonized masses, by an institutionalized concept of Christianity damning that which is contrary to the power majority, by an education system focusing on tuition and graduation metrics over critical thinking skills, by our short-sighted mentality and focus on instant gratification, and by the economics of insatiable consumption, otherwise referred to as the American dream. You have the right to remain silent. It may seem paradoxical for a white man to remind white America of ever-present racism, but I do not want to continue being an accomplice to complicity. You and I are responsible for changing this reality. We may both appreciate the feeling of safety that comes from the familiarity of our comfort zone, but there is the inevitable enunciation of truth that there is something wrong with our self-delusion of significant progress since 1963. We cannot be satisfied as long as fellow human beings continue to be staggered by the winds of police brutality. There is more to the South than just racism. There is more to racism than just the South. You have the right to remain silent.